Welcome back to another episode of an Investor's Journey Quarantine Edition podcast. So we're this is Tuesday. We just heard that they're gonna do a whole city lockdown, pretty much of what they hold on. They have a politically correct term for this, which is stay at home forcefully. So they're closing down a lot of businesses and a lot of things are shutting down trying to contain the spread of the coronavirus. So I've actually been getting a lot of calls, not really calls, but emails and messages on people struggling to get deals on their contract because the sellers don't want them to go to the house, right? Everybody's freaking the hell out. So I wanted to make this podcast on how to make offers over the phone and how to be able to actually lock them in this way. So biggest thing to keep in mind is that just because you cannot be going out and going to see the houses and all that does not mean you should stop working. Does not mean that you should stop marketing. You should stop, analyzing, doing stuff. By all means, keep working, keep going, because we don't know how this is going to shake out. We don't know if this is going to stop, in a month or so, or we don't know if this is going to last a year. So when you don't know, you need to stay active and keep working so you can at least get something going on. So a lot of you guys are actually doing that, and I want to address what it is that we do. Now, I don't condone virtual wholesaling. At least not the way a lot of people push it, or not the way a lot of people are doing it. Is people are doing virtual wholesaling, which essentially, for those of you that don't know, virtual wholesaling is, it's pretty much in the term, but you're wholesaling a property you essentially have never seen. And they do this when it's across cities and across state lines, across the country. So you're wholesaling maybe a house in Utah and you live in San Antonio, right? So they call that virtual wholesaling. My issue with that is unless you do it the right way, which is my way, you need a team at least in those locations to help you handle these deals, right? And not many people are doing that. They're solo entrepreneurs doing virtual wholesaling, and what this means is that you are approaching homeowners and you're telling them, that yes, you can buy their house, all this, and you're going through all the scenarios, all the questions, submitting offers. You've never seen the house, right? So you don't even know if it's even a good deal, if it makes any sense. You don't know anything about it, right? And yet you're going ahead and then putting on the market and trying to get some inexperienced investor to purchase that home. Now, I always said, if you buy a bad deal, it's your fault. I'm not blaming the wholesaler. I just don't condone that type of business. That's all, right? By all means, if it works for you and you love screwing people over, have fun, go screw people over. You're going to be out of business very soon. But for those of you that want to do it the right way, here's what I recommend you do. So, first things first is before you do anything, you need to stay calm, cool, and collected. All right? If you're freaking out about what's going on, that's going to come across. It's going to come across in your tone. It's going to come across in the way you negotiate, in the way you treat the seller. And if you can't instill calm and confidence in the seller you're speaking to, and this is so much harder to do over the phone, then you're not going to get any deals. All right. If you're frantic, if you're panicking, if you're freaking out because you're worried of how the hell you're going to make your ends meet this month, that's going to come across. Now, I'm not saying that you should not be worried. Of course, this shit is serious, right? People are really struggling. There are some serious problems going on. But if you bring that across when you communicate with your sellers, it's only going to be worse. It's not going to help you in any way. So you need to, before you get into it, you need to get in a positive mindset. I know this may sound silly or whatever, but I'm telling you, it is crucial that you do this. You need to get in a positive mindset. You need to forget about all your stress and worries and focus on this call, focus on this seller. So besides staying calm and cool and collected, you're speaking to the homeowner, right? So they reached out to you because of whatever form of marketing you're doing, however the heck you got a hold of them, you're talking to them. You want to start by building rapport. And this is, I'm pretty much going through the same scenario I would do in person, just over the phone. And over the phone, you're just gonna have to work at it a little bit better. You understand? You're gonna have to try to work on your tone, where you're not, hey, this is John, and wanted to see how you wanted it. Don't do that. You understand? Like, I mean, Jesus, you need to be more upbeat. You need to be like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? My name is Jonathan. Like, really just be excited, because when you do that, you put them at ease. And when you put them at ease, though, it's easier for them to open up. And in this world right now, there's an opportunity for you to give off confidence and reassurance to the people you're communicating with. And that comes across in your tone. If you come off very nice, very polite, very excited, you kind of help them forget about all their problems, right? Because it's hard for them to be negative and down when they're speaking to somebody that's so upbeat, right? So it's going to help you in your negotiation. You don't want to speak to somebody that's negative and down in a negotiation, right? You want to get them excited about working with you. So one of the things I would use right now is, hi, how are you guys dealing with this? How are you dealing with this whole, coronavirus situation, or with with the lockdown? Like, how's everything been going for you guys? And try to just build rapport with them, right? Because this is a serious situation, and it's a great conversation to have, just to see how people are dealing with it. And at the same time, you bring up stuff like, man, yeah, it's just crazy how the supermarkets have been getting. I make up a story if you need to. Like, yeah, I went to the supermarket the other day. Well, right now it's not even made up. There are huge lines at the supermarket. But where I'm trying to get to, and I'm just giving you examples, you don't have to use these by any means. I'm just trying to help you think about talking something other than their house. All right? Bring down their barriers, because right now, when you're dealing in a transaction, you're in negotiation mode, right? You're kind of like confrontational, in a way, right? You want something from them, they want something from you. Everybody wants to win, so let me get my guard up. And that's one thing that you want to make sure you don't do, is get their guard up. So you want to try to bring it down. You want to bring it down, and the way I've done it even recently is when I told them, they're like, yeah, man, I haven't been able to, what was it, I haven't been able to find chicken. I was like, well, actually, at the supermarket by my house, there's plenty of chicken. It's the one located over here in Alamo Heights and everything. Would you want me to just pick up some chicken? I can drop it off at the front door of your house or something. I would not mind doing that. I mean, something like that for somebody in this moment would be huge, especially if they're elderly. I'm not saying go ahead and do a whole grocery shopping trip unless you really want to. I think it'll be great. It's a great advantage. But if you're like, you're struggling with chicken, I'll go to the supermarket. I'll pick up, what do you guys like? Full chickens, whatever. I'll pick up a few packages. It'll be like, what, $20 of money, of your own money. You go buy the chicken. I'll just drop it off on your front door, and I'll let you know when I'm dropping it off, and you'll have some chicken. You'll build crazy rapport that way. You understand? So I want you to start thinking this way when you negotiate with somebody. And that's not just right now that we have the coronavirus and all this going on, but in the future. What is it that you can do to build rapport with people? Usually in the past, I've always, because I always want to be in the house when I'm negotiating. I never like to negotiate over the phone, but I try to find things, commonality, something that we can talk about, whatever the heck it is. If they like, freaking shuffleboard, I'll be like, man, yeah, I've been always looking to learn how to play shuffleboard. Do you have any recommendations? Right? Like, I'm giving you like real examples of how you can engage with these people, right? And how you can build rapport, because the more time they invest with you and you invest with them, the more that connection builds. You understand? And then the whole point of this, and I want you to visualize this, is, if you are, like I said, if you're in a sales transactions and you're more confrontational, you're in a sales transaction, you're kind of sitting across the table from each other, right? What you want to picture is you bringing them around the table to sit right next to you, where when you start actually talking about the house, you're sitting next to each other and you're like, all right, hey, let's figure this out. right? Because now you're working together to figure out a solution for them. And what that's going to do is it's going to blow your mind at how easy the negotiation and the contracts and the closing and everything becomes right after that. Because now you guys are working together. They're going to work with you. You understand? So anything you need, they're going to give it to you in a heartbeat. You understand? They're not going to be confrontational anymore. They're going to know that you're there to help them, as you should be. You should be there to help the homeowner. This should not be about you. You understand? If you're going in it about you, man, I gotta eat. I'm hurting. I gotta eat. You're the majority of the times you're gonna make bad decisions. You're gonna push the seller, and most of the time you're not even gonna get the deal. You understand? So unless you do some stupid shit and offer them way more than the house is worth and try to screw somebody else over with it, I mean, that's always possible. So don't do that. Strongly recommend that you don't do that. It's not a good way of doing it. But yeah, you want to build rapport. Next thing you want to do is you want to ask them, so why is it that you need to sell the house? Why is it that you need to sell? And the reason that I say need and not want, okay? Because you want to figure out, which brings me to the next point, you want to figure out what their real pain, fear, or struggle is with their current situation. What are they facing? Remember, in real estate, we're looking for motivated sellers, right? We need motivated situations. We can't have somebody that's just, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Because those maybe I don't knows, they're just gonna waste your time. It's just gonna be nonstop wasting time because there's no pain, no fear, no struggle that they're facing that they need to sell. They're just maybe considering at some point selling. That's it. So what you want to do is make sure you analyze. You want to see that they have real pain, real struggle, real fear about something. What is it? So when you ask them, why do you need to sell? Then you're going to get a clear answer because they're going to, in their head, well, if you think about it, if I tell you right now, if you want to go, I don't know, let's say sell your house, and I tell you, why do you need to sell your house? You're going to start thinking about why you need to, right? And then you're going to think if you don't need to, you're going to be like, I don't need to sell my house. Everything is fine. I can afford it. It's in great condition. Nothing's broken. I don't need to sell it. But if I tell you why you need to sell, you start thinking about, well, are there things wrong with the house? Oh yeah, there's this wrong, and I'm losing my job, and maybe this, and I owe to, whatever it is, they're gonna start thinking about what their problem is, what's gonna make them need to sell their house, right? So that's why you want to use the word need and not want. Need, human needs, those are important. So focus on that word, and you want to really discover what their pain, what their fear, what their struggle, because that is where you're gonna come up with a solution. Remember, somebody selling their house is never for the money. At least not somebody that has a need, that has a pain, a struggle, or a fear. People that have pain, struggles, and fear, they need solutions. They don't need the money. All right? Nobody needs money. Money doesn't do absolutely shit for you just having a stack of money. What that money does is what you can do with it, right? Where that value comes in is what can you do with that money? So what I'm trying to explain here is if this is a real life example. We negotiated a deal with a lady that she was asking $140,000 because she thought that she needed $140,000 to solve the pain that she had with that house, which was the house is falling apart. She's too old. She can't afford it. The taxes were going up way too much in that area. Um, and she needed help to move. So she had a lot of pains and she needed help, and she was a hoarder. I mean, Jesus, 1,200 square foot house. Hold on. Let me go in order. I kind of jump around a little bit. So she was, she had this world in her head that was going to cost $140,000 to move all her stuff and to find a new place. We bought the house for $72,000. Okay, 140 to 72, damn near 50% from what she wanted. All right, I want you guys to think that, and I'm not exaggerating. This is real. This is a real scenario. This really did happen. Okay, because we found out what her pain was, And then we did the next step was educating. We educated her on all of her solutions. So what she thought was going to cost 140, we showed her that for 72 we can get her all of that and still leave money in her pocket. Okay? So this is why you want to find that out, because now once you find out what their fear, what their pain, what their struggle is, you can focus on educating them on how it is that that pain, fear, and struggle can be resolved. Does that make sense? So once you figure that out, that you're like, okay, so this is her pain, here's her struggle, and you start thinking through the scenarios. Well, you have this option. So for her situation, she had way too much stuff. She was a hoarder, and she wanted to move to a place where there wasn't a house. She wanted low maintenance and everything. So we actually got her in contact with an apartment locator that was able to find her a good place. We got movers. We filled up two 10 by 20 storage units to the tip. I mean, floor to the top, front to back, whichever, right? The whole thing was full on both of them. Then we moved her, all her stuff, to the new apartment. And then we still got rid of 3 or 4 40-yard dumpsters of stuff before we even started demo. Was a 1,200 square foot house. I mean, Jesus, there was a lot of crap in there, right? So she thought she was going to have to do that herself. And it was extremely overwhelming, right? So we were able to go in and say, look, pack up everything that you want. Put a sticker on the stuff that you want in storage. Put this sticker on the stuff that you want in your house. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to put all the stuff in the storage. Here are some storage options based on where you're going to move to. Here are the best prices. Here are the best storages that's going to fit all your stuff. Here's the cost of that. So with the money that we're giving you, it's going to cover, I think it was like 2 years of storage. And then here's the apartment. We're going to be able to move all this stuff into your apartment. We got the movers. We got everything. And anything that's left over that you don't want, don't worry about it. We'll get rid of it. She didn't give a damn how much we gave her after that, because she had her problem solved. She thought it was going to cost $140,000, and we got it solved for 72. You understand? So we got a hell of a deal, and she was able to move on and get what she needed. So I hope this is making sense. So once you do this, right? So those are the 5 steps. This is all building rapport, getting to see their pain point, getting to get that confidence. And the education part is also to prove to them your knowledge, right? To prove to them that they can trust you, that they can work with you, and that you know what the heck you're doing. That's very important. You want to establish credibility and confidence that you can solve their problem. Okay? So that's why these first 5 steps are very, very important. Next thing, now you established it and all that. Great. Now we can start talking about the house. You notice that up until now, and this part up until now, it's been times that it's taken me, even in person, probably like an hour and a half of talking before we even get to the property. Because I can sometimes get to it in 10 minutes, or I can sometimes it takes me 2 hours because they just love to chat. I don't care, because the longer that we spend, the more rapport we're building. This is why marketing is crucial, because you don't want to be doing this to a property that has perhaps no equity, or it's going to be a very tight marginal deal, because then you just spent, hours working on a deal that's not going to pay out. But the way that we look at it personally, right, is that we're here to solve people's problems. So if I've spent 3 hours on somebody's house and I didn't make much, but I helped them solve their problem, I'm happy. You understand? Plus, I learned, because there's always something to learn on every deal. So, that's a little bit of a tangent, but, that's just how we look at it. So now you start actually talking about the house, and you want to determine conditions of the house. Again, you can't go there physically. So what are you going to do? You can ask them for pictures, right? Can you take pictures of the house? But you're hoping that they take the right pictures from the right angles. And if there is something wrong, what are the chances that they're going to take a picture of that, right? So I wouldn't really rely on it. I've dealt with some great sellers that they given me a ton of pictures, and they didn't lie about anything, right? But that has been less than a handful. So I wouldn't rely on pictures, but what I would rely, and this is a very important question that you need to learn to master. Okay. This question is going to give you the real answer to everything and anything you want. Okay. So here it is, the magic question. When was the last time, and you fill in the blank? Okay. When was the last time? Never ask them what's broken, what needs to be updated, what needs repairs, because that's too vague. That's open to interpretation, even though you're like, how the hell is that open to interpretation? Because to the seller, things may not need to be updated, even though the house is from the 60s. Things may not need to be repaired, even though, maybe there's leaks under the sink. They're like, yeah, it's a leak, but if you put a bowl under there, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's subjective to them. How do you answer that question for them? So when you ask them when was the last time, now they can't, that's not subjective. They got to give you an answer. Can they lie to you? Yes, they can. But they rarely do. All right? And when they are lying to you, it's very easy to tell because they start stuttering trying to make up a time. So you will definitely know that that's not real. But when was the last time? So here are the things that you want to cover. When was the last time you got a new roof? When was the last time you got a new roof? If their answer to any of these questions is, I don't know, I've never done it, I've never touched the roof. Okay, well, how long have you owned the house? You can find that out on the county district, right? On the county district, you can find out when they bought the house. So you can definitely do that, or on the MLS, sometimes you can find when that house was last sold and the conditions that it was in. But the county district would usually tell you that, or they will tell you that, and they'll be like, "Well, I bought this house. It was in 2006." Okay, well now you know that it's been 14 years since that roof was changed. So, in my perspective, it's like, all right, that roof in San Antonio, depending on what area of town, it might have gotten some hail damage. It's pretty close to needing to be replaced again, right? So that's another thing. So when was the last time the roof was changed? And if they tell you on any of these, if they tell you, well, I haven't touched it since I moved in, factor in when the heck they moved in, and it's been at least that long, right? So that's going to give you a good gauge. Then the AC, same thing. When was the last time you changed got an all new AC unit? Same thing. When was the last time you updated the kitchen? All right. Not repair, not renovate. When was the last time you updated the kitchen? Because when I first started, I would ask people like, "Is there any updates to housing?" No, everything is brand new. I updated the kitchen, the bathrooms, everything. I'm like, "Oh shit, that's cool," but they updated it like 8 years ago. I'm like, well, kind of dated by now and very used. So, it's not the same thing. So, when was the last time you updated the kitchen? When was the last time you updated the baths? When was the last time you painted the house? When was the last time you updated any of the flooring, carpeting, anything like that? And then ask them, be like, have you noticed any angled cracks on like door frames or window frames or anything like that? And just listen to their voice, right? If they're like, no, no, honestly, I haven't seen any, that sounds genuine. But when they're like, no, 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 there's no cracks, or they sound kind of defensive, there probably are cracks, okay? Because when they start getting a little defensive, is because that is an issue, but they don't want to tell you about it, right? If you did a good job at the first five of building rapport, they will share all these things with you anyways. But chances are, that maybe you didn't build that much good rapport, or maybe these people are just that skeptical of everything that they're gonna lie to you anyway. So that's fine. This is just for you to get more information. One picture I would ask is, because this is something that you can verify. If you tell them to go outside to their exterior AC unit, where the hoses come out of that unit into the house, there's a sticker with like serial numbers and everything. If you can ask them to take a picture of that, that sticker is going to tell you how old the AC unit is. So that can be very helpful. If they're not willing to do it, that's fine. But if you have somebody that you build great rapport with, I've spoken to people that have built amazing rapport and they were willing to do damn near anything and everything I asked them. So when you have somebody like that, ask for everything and anything that you can, because the more they give you, the better it's going to be. Remember, you're doing this over the phone. So after you ask them all of these questions about, when was the last time they did all these things, you can, I would ask them, so what are you looking to get for the house? Now, this does not matter at all. Okay. But what this does is a lot of people have a price in mind that they want to tell you very, very, very bad. You understand? They want to tell you what that price is. So this allows them to just get that off their chest and get that price out there. Some people don't have an idea at all. They're like, well, I don't know. That's why I called you. You tell me, right? Awesome. They give you a price, awesome. Either way, it does not matter at all, because what you need to be doing as a real investor is always submitting the price that makes sense for you, regardless. Okay? It needs to make sense for you. If it doesn't make sense for you, you're gonna be screwing somebody else over. You're either gonna be screwing them over, or you're gonna be screwing the buyer over. So make sure that price that you submit always makes sense. So you ask them, what is it? What were you expecting, or what are you expecting to get? Was there a price that you had in mind that you need for your house? Okay, this is gonna tell you a lot about it. Um, this is also going to tell you, like, if they have any mortgages, right? Like, it's like, well, how much is your mortgage paid off? Do you need a certain amount of money to at least cover the mortgage? Ask them these questions. Remember, you already build up rapport, right? So you already have this communication, this whole dialogue going with them. Now you can ask a little bit more probing questions. This is why I never like scripts, because there's a lot of scripts that they start with mortgage information from the get. Hi, my name is John. What's your mortgage like? I mean, that's a very personal question. So you want to make sure you don't ask that from the start. But right now, when you're asking them, what is it that you're looking to get? This is when you can start prying a little bit more into, do you have a mortgage? And if they're like, yeah, I have a mortgage, but, or they may not want to tell you what it is, but you just tell them. The reason I'm asking about the mortgage is because there's sometimes that we can actually buy your house and leave the mortgage in place, which allows us to pay you more for the house, right? Because that means I have to bring a lot less money to the table, and we just keep making the payments moving forward. We take over your mortgage. You understand? And this is called a subject to. Don't use the word subject to because you're going to confuse them. But you pretty much tell them, hey, we can take over the mortgage. We can keep making the payments, and this allows us to pay more for the house. It is true. You can pay more for the house if you get a house under subject to. So this is going to give you some information about the mortgage. They still may not give you anything, okay? They may not give you any information, which is fine, but at least try to get something. Try to get something about that. So once you ask that question, now you tell them, all right, well, look, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for all the information, all the help, everything that you gave me just now. It's been great hearing about, reiterate whatever you used and step number 2 about building rapport. And if you promise them anything or they're going to send you anything, reiterate that again now. If you got their phone number or anything, make sure to follow up through text, and you tell them, okay, let me get to my office. Or you, well, you probably are at your office now. So be like, all right, let me just take some time right now. I'm going to do some analysis on the neighborhood, on your house, based on everything that you told me, to see what it is that I can do to help you out. And let's get this resolved, right? Not, let me see what I can pay for your house, or let me see what offer I can give you. Remember, you're trying to solve a problem for them, right? So you're saying, all right, let me look at this. Let me look at the situation and see what it is that I can do to help you out and make sure we can get this resolved. Because then in their mind, they're like, oh, okay, thank you. Like, they're thanking you for putting in time to buy their house, right? Because they're feeling that you're helping them, that you're not just trying to buy their house or take their house from them. Remember, you want them on your side. So that's how you part, you end the conversation. Cool, you're done. Now comes the analysis part. In this step, you want to start running the numbers. So first things first, get details, get your data. So I recommend in San Antonio, go to BCAD, BCAD.org. So that's the Bexar County Appraisal District. Put in their address, and it's going to tell you when you go to think it's like land improvements or something like that. I can't remember exactly the name, but it's gonna give you the square footage of the house, right? If they have any attached units, if they have anything like that. So you want to go ahead and make sure you have the right square footage, you have everything, so you're comping it correctly. And when you were asking them questions of the house, make sure that obviously that you probably asked them how many bedrooms do you have, how many bathrooms do you have. All those are all just standard questions that you want to know, right? One thing that I would go back to on the major areas to ask is, have you done any conversions or additions in the past? I didn't add that in there. I forgot, but definitely ask them if they've converted a garage, if they converted anything, because then when you check on BCAD, you want to make sure that that's accounted for. If not, you want to see what the square footage is because it's going to adjust on your values. So I hope that makes sense. If that doesn't, seriously, shoot me a question. Ask me to, whatever it's not making sense with that. And I'll explain it further. So now you're running your comps. So you got your square footage, bedrooms and baths. You know the address, right? Hopefully, you asked for the address at the beginning. You know the address of the house. Now is when you start running comps. You want to compare apples to apples. Okay, I already put out podcasts on running comps and appraisals and all that. So I'm gonna link to all the related episodes below this, so you can see which ones relate to everything that we're talking about here on how to run comps. But you want to determine what the ARV or the fair market value is for this house. Why am I saying or? Is there are some neighborhoods that there aren't any renovated houses. There are just houses in really clean conditions, right? We've dealt with houses in neighborhoods that they're just there's no house that's updated. They're all in just clean conditions. So that's fair market value. I wouldn't call it ARV because there's no renovation or repair being done. But so that's a fair market value. What is the highest sold that compares to this house? Determine that value. And then determine the rents. The reason you want to determine the rents because you want to determine what the best strategy is going to be for this deal, right? Is it going to be a buy and hold or is it going to be a fix and flip? You want to determine that. So you have the value, you have the rents. Now you need to determine repairs. I don't give any rule of thumbs for repairs because it varies on who you are, who you hire, where you source your material, how do you manage the rehab. All right. Anybody that tells you, oh, budget $10 a square foot for this, and it's all bullshit. All right. Either they're selling you something or they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Either way, don't listen to them. You need real repairs because this is a real deal. This is real money. You need to take it serious and you need to understand this. Okay. So figure out what the repairs are. If you don't know how to do this, call an investor that does. If you're dealing with a house in the historic district, speak to an investor that renovates houses in historic districts. If you're dealing with a house in the 1980s and up areas, deal with somebody that knows how to renovate houses in those areas because the renovations, expectations, and everything are going to be very different. And then you go over all your when was the last time scenarios with them. You tell them, hey, they told me this and this and this and this. And a good investor is going to be able to tell you, okay, well, based on all that information, I know the area. You're probably going to have to deal with plumbing issues. You're probably going to have to deal with this. So the repair is probably going to come in around 40, 45, 20, 15, whatever it is, right? But they're going to be able to get you a lot closer than you're going to be able to get. A lot of investors are going to be willing to do this just on a quick phone call for free. Some investors are going to want to partner with you on it if you get something, whatever it is. If it gets the deal done, I would take it. All right. If you're going to get a deal done and maybe you have to split it with them, who cares? You're getting a deal done. You're getting paid. You're going to learn. Eventually, you'll get good at this. Remember, the number one goal of you in your first year of real estate investing is learning. It's not making money. All right. Don't focus on making money. Focus on learning because then you'll always make money. All right. So I hope that sticks and burns into your head. So you want to determine all the repairs, what types of materials you're going to need based on the neighborhood, what type of labor quality you're going to need based on the house. So you want to determine all these things, right? And you're going to need somebody with some experience to do it if you don't have it. Once you determine the ARV, you determine the rents, you determine the repairs, you're going to know pretty well what strategy is going to be the best strategy for that owner. Now, a lot of people say, well, I have multiple options. Nobody has multiple options, right? Like a house should make sense for what it makes sense for. You understand? It should not be like, oh, well, this house is so great. You can do everything. I always hear investors do that. Every time I hear, well, not investors, I wouldn't even insult an investor with that. But every time I hear somebody say, this is a great flip or buy and hold or owner finance or Airbnb, I'm like, all right, so you don't know what the heck you're talking about, right? Because it only truly makes sense for one thing really well. Could it make sense for other things? Maybe, but just not as well, right? There's always one strategy that you're like, this is just a all day flip. This is an all day rental, even if you're using flip numbers. Because there's a lot of times that, we buy our rentals kind of like how we buy our flips because we do full rehabs. But that doesn't mean I want to flip the house because after I do that in the price point that it is, I want to keep it as a rental. So that still makes it a buy and hold deal. I hope that makes sense. So once you determine what the strategy is, you're going to call your homeowner back and you're going to present the solution. Okay? Not the offer. You're going to present the solution. And I hope to God you're being honest with them. Okay? You need to do what's right and not what's easy. And take care of the homeowner because they're depending on your expertise. Don't be a douchebag just because you can. All right. I really hate when I see people do that and take advantage of people. That's just terrible business ethics. That's just terrible being a human being. Don't do that. Present to them. Tell them honestly what it is. Be like, look, okay. So I looked at the prices in the area. Here's what we're looking at. I tell people all of my numbers. All right. I have nothing to hide. Even the profit, yes, even the profit, because people know you're a for-profit company. Okay, you're not here to do a deal that's marginal. You understand? If not, you wouldn't be in business. People understand that, believe it or not. All right, so you're here to make a profit. So present a solution, show them the numbers. I tell them, look, I was looking at houses in your areas, houses similar to yours. They need, granite countertops. They need new cabinets. We're gonna need to update the windows. It's gonna need a new roof, the electrical, and all of this. And even if you were to try to sell this yourself, you still, in order to get the max price, you're gonna have to put all these things into the house because that's what buyers want. The difference is that for you as a homeowner, it's going to cost you tremendously more than it's going to cost me to do because I do this full time. So I have my crews, I have my where I source my materials from. So my offer is always going to be a lot better than you trying to do it yourself. If they try to argue with you that they'll just do it themselves. You understand? It's always going to cost more for a homeowner to renovate their house. So you present the solution. These are the prices. Here's what we're looking at. And honestly, at this price, I'm going to be able to do this, this, and this. Whatever that is that's going to solve their fear, struggle, or their pain, right? Because of at this price, and this is what we did with that lady, be like, okay, so I was looking at the area, I was looking at everything you need. I was able to find somebody that can get you into an apartment that's going to rent at this price. And we're going to get movers. I found storages. I found this. So we're going to be able to get everything. You're going to pack everything, put a sticker here, put a sticker there. And, we're going to move all that stuff out. We're going to do all that. And after all that's said and done, it's going to be taking care of your mortgage. I think, what was it? Oh, you're going to be able to walk away with all this for $20,000, with $20,000 in your pocket and all of that done. Does that sound good? Man, that lady was ecstatic. She's walking away with 20 grand, right? Which is a lot of money. 20 grand plus everything was going to be done for her. She was like, yes, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. Great. All right. So that's awesome. You sold somebody. Here's a tip. Okay. Once they say yes, great, shut the fuck up. Stop selling them. Stop it. All right. There's so many people that sell themselves out of a deal because they can't stop talking. Stop talking. As soon as they say yes, move on. All right. They're sold. It's done. Move on. Close the deal. So you tell them, great. Do you have an email address? I can email you. So you can use DocuSign, HelloSign, all of these for contracts. I can email you all the contracts. You can sign them on your phone. You can sign them on a computer, electronically. If they like paper copies, not a problem. I'll mail you everything through certified mail, sign everything, and just I'll enclose an envelope in there, put it back in the envelope, and send it right back to me. You understand? And we'll do all this and make it as easy as possible to get this property under contract. All right. What contracts to use is going to depend on your areas. In Texas, I made a podcast on it, which I'll add to the thing on what contracts we use in Texas. All right. And how we use them. So I'll link to that podcast here so you can get an idea of that. But send it. You can use HelloSign. That's always the easiest way, or DocuSign. Same thing. Shop around. You can also use eFax in case they do have. You need to communicate with the mortgage companies. You're going to need a fax number if you don't have a fax number. Most people don't. eFax gives you a digital fax number that comes to your emails. So you can use that. And that's it. You submit an offer, right? And you tell them, just, I want you to know this has been all over the phone, right? Because of what we have. As soon as we can, as soon as we're able to go view the property, we gotta verify all these numbers. You understand? We gotta verify that the condition of the home is exactly what you said, and that things aren't, maybe, hopefully things aren't as bad as I'm picturing them. Maybe there's some things are in much better condition and we can pay you more for the house. That rarely happens, but if it does, it's up to your discretion whether you are going to pay more or not, right? It's up to you to whether you want to do it or not. But if they're okay with that offer and everything, then just keep it going. But you make it contingent on that. So because of where we are right now, I would make sure on that contract, I put not just the option period. The option period is going to be crucial, but also the closing date. I'm going to put it maybe 60, 90 days out, maybe, right? Because it's like, we don't know how long this is going to last. I'm going to try to close this as quickly as possible. But another thing that you got to keep in mind is that we don't know how title companies are functioning right now. Some title companies have shut down. Other title companies have sent most of their people home. They have very few people working. I mean, you don't know how long this is going to take you to do a background check, to be able to go see the house, to be able to get a buyer to go see the house if you're wholesaling it. You don't know how all this is going to take, right? So you want to make sure you give yourself enough time so you don't have to do addendums later, to extend it. Because then you're giving them too much time to, when you do an addendum to extend it, they might have time to rethink it. And you don't want to give them time to rethink anything, and question themselves and their decisions. But that's precisely what I would do, right? So I would get everything, I would send it out, get them to sign it, send it off to title, get title working on it. And I mean, heck, maybe the house is vacant and you can go see it now, right? 6 feet distance, keep distance from people. Maybe you can go see it. It's up to you. It's up to them. Whatever you guys are willing to risk. Put on a freaking hazmat suit to go see it. Whatever. But you can get it under contract. You can lock it up right now. And if you need to wait, as soon as everything's done, you have a couple contracts already locked in, ready to go, and ready to go check out. And if you have them locked in and you want to start selling them now, I recommend that you tell your buyers, be like, hey, this was all done over the phone. Here's the information that I gathered. You understand? I don't know the conditions. Okay. So whenever we can get in the house, we just got to verify that the conditions are what they say. And if they're okay with it, then great. You have a buyer locked in, ready to go. That's exactly what we're doing right now. Wholesaler sent me a deal. This is exactly what we're doing. We're waiting until we can get into the house to go see what it is. So that's pretty much everything of how we would deal with and negotiate deals over the phone. This was, again, a lot of information because it's a big process. You got to do it correctly. Keep in mind that right now, when you're running comps, when you're doing everything, don't overestimate what the ARV is going to be, because we are in a falling market pretty much. So you're not going to get, that over ask price. You may not even get that ARV price, right? Try to budget a little lower, be a little more conservative, and use that to your negotiation advantage of telling them, hey, because of where the market is and everything, this is what houses sold for, but houses are falling. Prices are falling. So the price needs to be lower, because chances are, like, as an investor, I'm going to want a bigger discount now because there's a lot more risk that I'm taking on. You understand? Because bank financing is getting tighter. Banks are starting to charge points for refinancing. I mean, it's going to get bad for investors as far as funding and doing deals. So we're going to want bigger discounts because we're putting a lot more risk into this. So be mindful of that and negotiate accordingly. All right. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope you guys got a ton of value out of this. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos, a lot more frequent on different tactics that we're doing throughout this time. And just stay tuned. Keep checking out our Facebook page at Prime Homes and our website, and subscribe to our newsletter. Our newsletter, I'm putting it out weekly. We're going to be giving you updates and videos and techniques and stuff that we're learning. All right. Because as we go through this crisis, we're always going to be learning something new to do and opportunities coming up. And any opportunity that we find, we're going to share with you. All right. So stay tuned if you want to figure out what's next, what the market is doing, what can you jump into, what opportunities are going to be available to you. So stay tuned, subscribe to our newsletter on primehomes.com, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's where we're going to have more consistent updates on everything that we're doing. So don't stick your head in the ground. Don't let fear control you. There is opportunity here. There is light at the end of the rainbow, or gold at the end of the rainbow, whatever the fuck the saying is. But there's hope here. Okay, just we're always looking for it. So stay tuned. Keep following us. Keep asking questions. Whatever you're having issues with, ask me. I'm here to help you guys. All right, we're here to help and help out the community so we all come out of this better than we were before. So I hope you guys are staying safe. I wish you and your family all of the best. Keep getting after it. Keep hustling. Keep grinding it out. This is not the end, okay? This is just a time where more opportunity is going to present itself. So I wish you all the best of luck. Anything you need, reach out to us. We're here to help. Thank you, and I'll catch you on the next one.